Hello and welcome back for another historic video. Today we're going to be taking a look at this meme deck that's playing Juggle the Performance to heist our opponent's library. For those that might not be familiar with Juggle, it's a 3-mana sorcery, and it states that each player discards their hand, and then we're going to conjure a duplicate of 7 random cards from the other player's library, and those cards gain that mana of any color can be spent to cast them. For the most part, our deck is full of useless cards that our opponent won't be able to use, and then we'll be trying to utilize our opponent's combos and strategies to win the game. Along the way, we can draw into more juggles from our own deck and repeat the process. In order to be a bit more consistent, we're also running 4 copies of Scheming Symmetry. We can play this on turn 2 to tutor up our juggle if we don't already have one in hand. Then we're playing a whole bunch of the leyline cards, which if they're in our opening hand, we can start with them on the battlefield, providing us additional value. And if our opponent draws into them with Juggle, they'll have to play 4 mana to cast them. So we have 4 copies of Leyline of Sanctity, giving us hexproof, good against discard strategies and burn decks. 4 copies of Leyline of Anticipation, letting us cast spells at instant speed. 4 copies of Leyline of the Void has some great graveyard hate. Against certain decks, this can win on its own if it's in our opening hand. 4 copies of Leyline of Combustion. If our opponent targets us or our permanents, then we get to deal 2 damage to them. And 4 copies of Leyline of the Guild Pact. Turns all of our permanents into multicolored spells and turns our lands into every basic land type. So if we draw into one of our blue or white Leylines later in the game, we'll be able to cast them. Similar, this will give us blue mana if we cast a Pact of Negation. The Pact of Negation is a 0 mana counterspell, but you have to pay 5 at the beginning of your upkeep, otherwise you lose the game. And then we're also running Karn as a backup win condition, allows us to pull artifact cards out of our sideboard. And if our opponent is not playing Karn in their deck, it's unlikely that they have any artifacts in theirs. So if they draw into this with the Juggle, then it's essentially a dead card for the most part. For the mana base, we're playing mostly dual lands. We have Shrine to Nyx in our deck, which combos nicely with Leyline of the Guild Pact, allowing us to have a mana advantage. And we also have a couple copies of Starting Town for color fixing as well. For our sideboard package, we have Grafdigger's Cage for graveyard hate, Pithing Needle, turn off opponent's abilities, Liquid Metal Coating to try and keep our opponent off mana, the Stone Brain, because if we're able to see a good portion of our opponent's deck with Juggle, then we can potentially rip out their win conditions. Cauldron the Complete as one of our threats. Living Weapon means it will come with a creature that it can equip to. And then it also has Indestructible. The equipped creature will be a 5/5 with First Strike, Trample, and Haste as well, meaning we can start pressuring our opponent right away. And additionally, whenever this creature deals combat damage to another creature, that creature gets exiled, so it's difficult to block. Platinum Angel for decks that don't have removal as an easy win condition, and Extinguisher Battleship as a generic removal spell, and also pseudo board wipe against small creatures, which is one of the weaknesses of this deck. If your opponent is able to get some cards out on turn 1 and 2 before you're able to juggle, they have the potential to go under what you're doing, and they'll start off with some advantage on the board. So being able to catch up from behind is useful. I don't expect this deck to be groundbreaking, but it does look like it's going to be a lot of fun to play today. Before we jump into the gameplay, I'd like to ask you to please like and subscribe the video. It really helps the channel. And without further ado, let's jump into the games. This hand is okay. We can use the Symmetry to tutor up the Juggle, and then we just need an additional land. There's the last land that we need. Play out the Starting Town. Won't play the Symmetry yet. I'm going to tutor up a basic here. Blue. So they could be on a control deck, in which case they'd be able to counter our Juggle. Looks like Eldrazi. Unexpected results, finds an outburst. Not the best deck for us to go up against. They're going to have a lot of big mana cards in their deck. Although with the Leyline of the Guild Pact and the Nixos, we might be able to ramp some of these out. Deal another 5 to themselves here. Benefit of having Leyline of Sanctity in the deck. Pact is good. We can also pay for that. Let's see. We have 5, 6 mana to work with. Can't quite cast Emergent Ultimatum yet. Unexpected results is not likely to hit anything useful. Might as well try it and then play out a tap land. Don't need more mana. They play out a Leyline of Combustion, that's fine. We'll do the same here. Big black. Just continue ramping for now. Play at a temple. And don't need a Leyline. Next turn we should be able to play out Omniscience, and then Emrakul should win the game. It's unlikely our opponent has anything to tutor with Karn.
My heartstone to see alliances old and new. We cannot let Phyrex.
Here we'll cast the Omniscience. We can play a Karn of our own.
The innovation is ours.
And our opponent just concedes. We were going to Emrakul here, take an extra turn, and then win with combat damage. Good game. This hand is okay. Like to see a little bit more variety with our Leyline, but Leyline of Sanctity is one of the better ones to have. We can use the symmetry to go get the Juggle on turn 2. Put our Leyline into play and start with a Cliffs. Pass the turn. Opponent with some ramp. That's unfortunate. We'll play out the symmetry. Go grab our Juggle. We're hoping that they play out some more mana dorks here, and then our Juggle completely messes up their hand, and it takes them a while to rebuild while we can pull ahead. I would imagine our opponent grabs something like Badgermole Cub here to try him instead. So we'll play out the starting town and then Juggle. That was a pretty terrible hand. Tooth and Nail doesn't have any targets in our deck. So our opponent is looking to put something busted into the play. Trying to Nykthos is great in their current board state. Also wouldn't put it past this deck to have something in the Karn board. They might be playing Karn the Great Creator. They're thinking deeply about something. And Leyline of the Guild Pact will fix their mana colors. Make Nyx generate a ton of mana. So this one isn't quite playing out how we would like it to. Might as well start on the elves here. And they top deck the third copy of Tooth and Nail, so they're going to win right here. They'll hit for, what is it, 10,000? No block. I think we got hit by variance a bit in this deck. Our opponent also had a very good start with the Mana Dorks. Lucky top deck. Good game. This hand is not bad. We'll keep. Has access to turn 3 juggle. Play out a tapped crypt. Up against a Azura's deck. We'll go grab our juggle here. This is a control deck. They're likely just grabbing a counter spell. Did I click on the wrong card? Or did it just not put it on top yet? Ooh, thankfully, it looks like it was just a display glitch. Ornithopter. Opponent is on a affinity deck. They tap out for the Thopterist. And they just concede, which is lucky for us because this hand looks pretty bad. This hand does not have access to a juggle, has to be a mulligan. This is better, and then we only need 1 Leyline of Sanctity. We do need to find red mana though. Suppose the Shrine to Nyx could generate some. Hopefully the Leyline of Sanctity is shutting off some of our opponent's discard. Cliffs will be our red mana. And we'll play out the Shrine to Nyx next turn before casting Juggle. This hand's pretty good. Don't think we need to necessarily use Thoughtseize right away. Could play out Obnix. They're trying to wheel, so they're likely to have things like Bowmaster in their deck as well. And we can actually Fatal Push before taking our draw step here. Save some life. Play out the Ridge. Could Sign in Blood. I think we'll just pass the turn for now. Opponent passes back to us. Couple choices here. We'll force the action, play the Thoughtseize, and then we can play out a Leyline. Definitely take the Obnix here. And then we can play one of our own.
I may look like a demon.
Pass it back to our opponent.
Heart of a warlord.
Is this an instant? Yes. So we're probably going to hold up Baleful Mastery.
Try not to think too hard.
To get rid of a Thoughtseize, draw a card. That's good for us. I think we will Sign in Blood still. Try and draw another land. Play it for full cost. Destroy the Bowmaster. There is a starting town we can play out. We would like to find something to actually pressure our opponent. At this point, we need another Juggle or a Karn. They get rid of the scheming symmetry. So they have no plan to help us out. And a scrolling crawler. So they are starting to pull ahead here. It's not mana positive. Symmetry is not a bad top deck. We can go grab another juggle. Unfortunately, Obnixious is going to die here. They decide to go face. Notice they didn't activate their land. Do they have a wheel effect? They couldn't target us because of the ley line of sanctity. We have to force this. So let's see, what colors can we add the most of here? It's going to have to be green. We'll pay for the pact, and then unfortunately we're just going to lose because we don't have enough mana to cast the juggle. Can't grab Karn and Platinum Angel, so our opponent was able to dig their way back out of this one. And it doesn't matter what they get here, so no point in waiting. They're playing really slow. On to the next. This hand is fine. We'll keep. Start with our ley lines in play. Lush Portico surveils away another land. Up against enchantments. Could be a favorable matchup. See how far ahead they get this turn before we can juggle. Enchantress, that's a good draw for them. Notably, any of our ley lines will also trigger these cards, so they're actually favored in this matchup. Love to find some exile spells. 9 lives isn't bad. Seam Rip can take care of the Sithis. Banefire can also destroy the Sithis. This is 2 or less, so he can't hit the presence. So let's see if we start with our own Sithis. Then we can play the Seam Rip, take out their opponents. Draw into another guild pack. No need to play out the Banefire. They have a replacement. And a Solemnity, so they'll draw 2 cards here. We can play out our planes. How many can this tap for? 5. Only need to do 2 here. And take out the Sithis. Then we have a handful of mana left over. You can either use the Gauntlets. You can play out 9 lives. I think the Gauntlets is fine and start pushing damage. Hit for 4. Another Enchantress's Presence. Opponent is drawn out of this quite well. And Sterling Grove means their enchantments will have Shroud now. They can also tutor up an enchantment at will. We are in a bad spot.
We must prepare for war.
Gonna need another juggle soon. Leyline of Sanctity, not really gonna help. Don't know if playing out the 9 lives matters either, but we'll put it out there. See what we draw into. And there's another juggle. So we'll cast that now. Try and slow them down a little bit. They've drawn quite a few cards since the last one. Weaver is good too. Draw a card. And Karn should win the game here for us if we can cast it. Love to see them fire off their Grove here. They do not. Leyline of Anticipation. They can cast cards at instant speed now. 3 mana remaining.
Innovation is our advantage.
And they discard. So first we're going to force them to crack their Grove here. They can tutor up another one. They do. We'll play out Karn.
Let us begin. It warms my heartstone we cannot let Phyrexia win.
We could Stonebrain it. We do have enough mana to take it out of the deck. I think that's good enough. Next turn we can tutor again with Karn. So our opponent concedes here. Good game. This hand is good. We'll keep. Start with a couple Leyline in play and play the Cliffs. Opponent raiding our cards. This is a burn deck. We're going to be in pretty good shape. Play out a Pathway. It is an aggressive deck. So this juggle should mess them up. And we got a pretty good hand here. They play out their show off. We can Chain Lightning it. Instead, they're going to shuffle us again. This one is notably weaker. Let's see, we can play out 4 mana. Play the Swift Spear. Opponent might pack this for the game. We can Anger. Don't think we want a Symmetry yet. Might as well just play out the Firebranding Scheme as well. Honestly, we could Symmetry again. Go grab another Juggle. Does this have haste? It does. We'll just push damage here. Hit for 7. They could play out a Leyline. It's a Swift Spear instead. And they play off the shot. Hit for 2. add green. Claim the firstborn on the show off. This buffs prowess. We'll play out another shrine. This time we need black mana. Actually, we don't need black because Mountain can tap for black mana. So we'll play out another ley line here. Pump the team. And then we do Scheming Symmetry. This should be lethal. We'll grab another Juggle just in case. Opponent needs a burn spell. And doesn't look like they have one. Good game. This hand is keepable. Not the best ley lines, but we do have Juggle. Guild Pack's actually not bad since we have Mix in hand. Up against a control deck, so we're really counting on Juggle to resolve. Love to see them tap out here. They don't. We'll be patient. As long as we are still hitting land drops, then there is no need to panic. Leyline Anticipation, something they have to counter pretty much if they have it. They don't. I think that was a mistake. Wandering Emperor can start applying pressure.
I hope you're ready to lose. May your blade strike true. Let your blade do the talking.
So here we'll play out the mountain. Pass the turn. We'll let them draw their card. Then we'll try and play out Karn first. This is a great counter opportunity for them. They play 3 steps ahead, and we'll Juggle. The Fairy can bounce the Emperor, can bounce one of their tokens. Farewell can destroy their board state. Rest in Peace, not the best. Opponent's not going to have any graveyard synergies.
We've got the edge in this fight.
We only have 8 mana here. Could use Karn to go get the battleship. That's actually not a bad play. So we'll add some red mana here. Play out Karn. And our opponent just concedes. Good game. Alright, so there you have the deck. It actually did better than I expected it to. I thought we were going to be well under 50% win rate in the matches. However, we only lost to the green deck utilizing Tooth and Nail, which was a dead card since we didn't have any creatures to pull out of our own deck with it. And I do think our opponent had some luck with the variance in that one, where they top decked the Tooth and Nail pretty early after we used Juggle. Then we also dropped one to the wheel deck, where, again, the cards we got off Juggle weren't the best. We didn't get any wheels, we didn't get any Sheoldred or Orcish Bowmasters, which left us pretty vulnerable, and our opponent had time to draw out of it naturally. Outside of that, we were able to utilize our opponent's cards fairly well. A couple of the concessions from our opponents might have been a bit premature. We didn't have the games quite locked up, but from their side of the board, they probably felt it was going to be a waste of time and would rather move on to the next match. Unfortunately, we didn't seem to get any free wins off Leyline of the Void. The Reanimator decks are still quite popular in Historic, and I would have expected at least 1 or 2 free wins with that. Similarly, Leyline of Sanctity didn't seem super useful in the matchups where it does have the potential to shut down quite a few decks. So I expect if we continue to play with it, we would get a handful of free victories using them. Additionally, I thought Scheming Symmetry was going to be a major weak point. Giving our opponent a choice card on turn 2 or 3 means that they could really set up their game plan before we're able to get Juggle out, but that didn't seem to impact us too much in the games that we played today. When it comes to changes to the deck, you could look at swapping out Pact of Negation, some or all of the Leyline of Combustion, and maybe a couple copies of Leyline of Anticipation, although that is a very useful card in the deck. As you saw in the last game, it allows us to use Juggle at instant speed, so we can use it after our opponent's drawn a card to essentially take one of their potentially useful draws and turn it into garbage. This deck was tremendously fun to play, and I think I'll definitely revisit it in the future. As always, I'd like to thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more content.